so they don't want to take no blame. So we choosing alliance to get rid of the nuisance, to bring back stability to our economy. And Cap, you drop the ball. Ruben answered the call to fulfill the people's dream. He's coming with a team, so the voters then must say, alliance all the way. Tell PDM, got to go. Cap, got to go. Weak leadership, got to go. And the voters are say so. High air passage, got to go. Electrical outage, got to go. High gas prices, got to go. And the voters are say so. Take back our country. Take back our country. Tell Cap and PDM, all this hardship must come to an end. High cost of living, got to our youngsters migrating, got to our healthcare failing, got to go. And the voters are say so. Tell them what we say. They got to go. Tired of the nonsense. Almost 10 years, you have us in tears. And all you do is watch us suffer. Failed promises and high taxes. Life keep getting harder. So the voters rising up, they want this nonsense stop. So they're choosing leadership to take over this ship. And Cap, you drop the ball. Ruben answered the call to fulfill the people's dream. He's coming with a team, so the voters they must say, alliance all the way. Tell PDM, got to go. Cap, got to go. Weak leadership, got to go. And the voters are say so. Lack of teachers, got no job for school leavers, got a cricket field for we players, got to know. And the voters are say so. Take back our country. We gon' take back our country. Tell Cap and PDM, all this hardship must come to an end. Poor access, got to a health crisis, got to food importation, got to tell them. And the voters are say so. Got to go. They got to go. Yes. And the voters they must say so. Got to go. Got to go. Got to go.
The preceding was a paid political program which does not reflect the views of management and staff of Radio Montserrat.
The following is a paid-for political statement. The views, opinions, and conclusions expressed are those of the hosts and panelists, and not those of ZJB management and staff. Listeners are therefore urged to use their own discernment to draw their own conclusions.
Fellow Montserratians and other residents of Montserrat, this is George Kernan, and I stand before you today to say that the time has finally come for me to move from just being another concerned citizen to a citizen who now wishes to have a voice in the decisions which shape our country. I'm therefore pleased to inform you that I have taken the decision to contest the next general election as a candidate for the United Alliance Party. As most of you know, I have served on the Public Service Commission of Montserrat, and before that I was the chair of the Complaints Commission for several years. It was always an honor to be of service to Montserrat by contributing to the improvement of good governance in the public service. But in doing so over the last 10 years, I have come to recognize that despite all that we have said, and despite all of the recommendations that have been made, things have remained the same. We fought strenuously from the outside to get the Complaints Commission to fulfill the role which the Constitution requires it to perform. Today, the Complaints Commission, a body which is so critical to the good governance of the public service, no longer functions. We question the reasons why the Public Service Commission has no oversight function, although the Constitution permits it. We asked why the Public Service Commission has no power to require the introduction of policies which align with Montserrat's development in the areas of recruitment, promotions, and succession planning. Surely it must be the absence of such policies why our next cabinet secretary is being recruited from St. Helena, when we have the same skills, the same competencies required for that post within the public service and in our diaspora. The damaging consequences of these unanswered questions, among others, over a long period of time, together with what seems to be an inability to treat with issues critical to Montserrat's development, have convinced me that the time has come for me to step forward. Most of you will know that I've been an attorney for many years, but many may not know that I have had an equally long career of some 25 years in economic development, including significant roles at the Caribbean Development Bank and at the CARICOM Secretariat. My regional career has been defined by innovation and creative thinking. I have a proven track record of bringing fresh ideas to the table and cutting through the red tape to get the job done. As I look around at the extremely slow pace of our progress, I've asked myself, what are we doing wrong? Year after year, successive governments have preoccupied themselves with allocating funds from a budget which has never been enough to maintain the country's public services and at the same time promote meaningful development. Allocating such resources year after year has been an exercise in juggling figures to make ends meet. We cannot therefore be overly critical of the current administration or past administrations, given the resources that they have had at their disposal. But what needs to be criticized is their failure to understand that our development is our business, and we must take charge of our own development and seek to find innovative ways to chart our own destiny. The list of possibilities is long, but Montserrat's growth must be underpinned by a resource mobilization strategy executed in partnership with our regional partners. The lack of aggression, the lack of innovation where Montserrat's development is concerned has left us with a very long list of what we now refer to as problems. Politicians have been running around the country almost daily speaking about these problems, from population decline to access, to the inadequacy of medical service, high cost of living, and the surrender of the country to the governor. But where I differ is that while I agree that these are issues which need to be addressed, I view them merely as symptoms of a much bigger problem, the problem of failed leadership. There is failed leadership when there is a consistent failure to solve a country's problems. A country that does not solve its problems is a country in stagnation. A country in stagnation does not move forward. And that is where Montserrat has finally reached, a country deep in the throes of stagnation. So to stop this downward spiral, Montserrat will need experienced leadership. And I'm in this race. I'm in this race because I bring much of what the country needs: development experience and the courage to try new solutions. Leadership which already knows the landscape of the region, which already knows the players, which knows how to get things done. And leadership which is not prepared to try the same approaches over and over and expect a different result. We will also need leadership which will govern for all and which treats the diaspora as an integral component of our development. It saddens me that we still classify our population into nationals and non-nationals, but non-nationals are a critical and invaluable component of both our economy and our society. We need to find ways to move to a more perfect union between nationals and non-nationals. And as a member of the United Alliance Party, I will continue to champion the cause of non-nationals. This is my solemn pledge to you. And we must not forget our youth. They are the heartbeat of Montserrat's future. We must govern to ensure that they inherit a restored Montserrat, where opportunity flourishes and hope reigns. Fellow Montserratians, fellow residents, We are now at the crossroads of our development. We could continue this downward spiral or we could begin to rise. The choice on October 24th is between untried and inexperienced leadership and tried and tested leadership. I am excited to associate myself with the experienced and tested leader in Reuben T. Meade, a man with development training and experience who is prepared to speak out when necessary in defense of our country, who has been on the regional stage for many years, who is equal to any other regional leader, and who has the blend of diplomacy and forthrightness to negotiate with our UK leaders for a better deal for our people. I invite you to rally around the United Alliance Party. This is a silver lining which Montserrat has craved for a very long time. With the Alliance Party, we can now look forward once again with confidence and resolve for a more rapid pace of development for Montserrat. So when you go to the polls on October 24th, you must vote wisely. Vote to change this country around. Vote for experience. Vote for a more secure future for Montserrat. Vote George Kernan. Vote United Alliance Party. Thank you for listening, and may God bless Montserrat.
The preceding was a paid-for political statement. The views, opinions, and conclusions expressed were those of the hosts and panelists, and not those of ZJB's management and staff. Listeners are therefore urged to use their own discernment to draw their own conclusions.
Good morning, Montserrat. Good morning to our listeners in the diaspora, and welcome to another edition of the program, Let's Talk with the United Alliance. This morning is a pleasure for us to introduce candidate number 9, Mr. Kernan, and I'll turn over to the party leader, Mr. Meade, to make a few statements.
Okay, thanks very much, Austin. I've known George Kernan for a very, very long time. When I was the representative for the Central constituency, his mother was, in fact, one of my very close supporters and friends. George has been through many aspects of the development in Montserrat. He was an air traffic controller. He was a legal
freedom of association. And I ask this in the light of some very disturbing conversations that have been involved in my hearing about people going down to moors, peeping to fences to see what people are doing, who they are talking to, who they are associating with. I am dismayed that Montserrat have come to this stage now where my friends can't sit in the bar and have a drink with me because somebody's peeping through some hole, someplace to see who they're talking to. I just want you to just speak a little bit to that because I think our people need to understand that they have certain rights.
Yeah, the Constitution does not stop anyone from participating in the support of any political party, attending any meetings, wearing party colors. Nothing in the Constitution speaks to that. And irrespective of which party persons support, they have a right as citizens and residents to be in a position to attend rallies, to attend functions, to continue living their lives as citizens or residents of Montserrat without let or hindrance in their spare time. And I always go back to the case in Antigua, where a senior civil servant, during his lunch break, took off his uniform and had a placard protesting against certain government decisions. The matter went before the court in Antigua, and the court ruled that he was first and foremost a citizen and a public servant, secondly, as long as he was not using his office or government's time to protest or do anything political. So I say to all civil servants, you have a right to attend any political rally, support any political party of your choice without let or hindrance. Nobody from the UK gonna come here and tell you, look, if you follow a political meeting or you go to a political meeting, you could be fired. Can't happen. Secondly, you're expected to vote. So how are you going to to know who to vote for if you cannot attend political rallies. Okay, so let us stop being subservient. Let us stand up for our rights and understand that your rights cannot be trampled on by anyone. It is your constitutional right to support whomever you wish to, and you can show it in whatever form you want as long as you are not on the job.
Yeah, and what is unfortunate for me is that our political directorship, our political leadership seems to be very quiet, as if they also condone this approach to our people. I expected to hear our government coming out and saying, you have a right, whether you support us or not, you have a right to support who you want to support. It should not be left up to the new party on the block to be coming out and telling people this. Part of leadership means that you lead. And leading means that you speak to your people in terms of what they should do, how they should be. It's part of, this morning we're going to be talking about a little bit about culture. And it's part of talking about what our national identity is, who we are as a people, who are we as a monstration, and who determines who we are as a people. Now this morning we have a special guest in the studio. So I'm going to just go on the table. Everybody have a minute to say good morning, hi to the public. And then I'll introduce my guest, our technical expert, a little bit later.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning to all our Montserratians and residents here and abroad.
Good morning, everyone. To our brothers and sisters here and abroad, we're delighted to be with you again today as we pursue our right to self-determination and speak about our national identity through our culture.
Good morning, everyone here in Montserrat and across the waters listening to us. I'm happy to be here this morning again to share my voice and again to be a part of the United Alliance as we move across the island, talking to persons, hearing their questions, listening to their plights, and getting ready to form the next government to help our people back to a better standard of living.
Good morning, listeners, those listening on Ireland, and of course those listening across the Eastern Caribbean. This morning's topic promises to be informative, to evoke some feelings from you, and of course to bring us closer together as a people, as a people that believe that Montserrat can do better, and through all areas we can push the agenda with this government, the United Alliance.
Good morning, listeners in Montserrat and across the seas. I continue to be proud of the decision I made months ago to be part of the United Alliance team, and I hope that our program today would be enlightening and enjoyable.
And finally, the next one. Okay, sorry about that. And finally, I would introduce our guest, a man who is very passionate.
Wagwan, Montserrat. We're here 5 weeks to go to elections. United Alliance, for the people, of the people, no false promises. Big up everybody.
Yeah, you take the mic from your throat. You're going to talk about our meeting this evening and invite the people to the meeting this evening. I'll give you a chance to do that because we're having our first public meeting.
So let's get on with this, and then as we wrap up.
We do that? Okay. But I just want the people to know we're coming out this evening. Back to our special guest who's here. Very passionate about what we're going to be talking about this morning. Keith Roy, the voice, the Bear Moss. And Keith Roy, good morning and welcome to Let's Talk with the United Alliance.
Yes, good morning, everyone. I'm delighted to be here among the United Alliance, who invited me here to talk a bit about culture. Well, foremost, they invite me to be a part of their team to go out and encourage people to follow our leader, Ruben Timid, who we know has experience to lead the country. And that's one of the main reasons why I'm here, because what I'm going to be talking about is mainly focused on him and what he has done and will continue to do.
Thank you very much. So as we get into the program, we speak about culture. And culture is a wide scope and a lot of things that we can talk about. But I'd like to start this morning talking about our social and moral values, what that aspect of our culture, which once made us who we are as a people. And I'll invite John to just talk a little bit briefly about.
Morning, Austin. When you talk about culture, for me, I think about our principles, our morals, our mannerisms. Growing up in Montserrat, one of the things that we do very well is to even say good afternoon, good morning, good night. We're generally a population that has grown up with certain principles that show mannerisms, show that we care. And one of the things that I like about that is that, and I don't think we sell it quite well in Montserrat, is that because of our principles, you find that we're generally a crime-free country. I mean, sometimes when you're overseas, you hear other countries talk about actually being crime-free, but then they'll say, oh, we had one homicide for the year. When was the last time, I don't even remember, that we had anything like that at all in Montserrat? And it's because of our principles and our morals why we can actually probably say that we're the safest country in the world. So Austin, we have a lot of benefits to who we are as Montserratians. I'll give you even another joke. There are some people that come to our island because generally Montserratians as a whole, we're not starstruck people. Celebrities come through here and we generally don't bother them. I remember one day I was at the gas station and I saw somebody very familiar, Robert Lutz. You may ask who that is. That's the CEO of General Motors in America. Casually around Montserrat. He was actually shocked when I knew his name because he said the main reason why he comes to Montserrat is because he gets away from the whole paparazzi thing when nobody here really knows him, nobody here invades his privacy. So he asked me, well, how do you know me? I said, well, I grew up in America, so I know who you are, but that is generally our population. And I think we have so much benefits to our population that we don't sell. Stuff that we can use as part of our tourism. Because if you want to sell, for instance, that you want to come to some place where you can relax, where you can rewind and just be safe, I don't think there's a better place in the world to do it other than Montserrat. And as I said, that is part of our culture. It is our culture to be kind to people. You often hear when people come to Montserrat that they talk about how kind that Montserrat people are, how welcoming and how warm we are. That is our culture for me, Austin.
Okay, thanks. I know people tend to view, when we speak of culture, look immediately to the arts, entertainment, and dance, etc. So while I'll get Kiroy to talk a little bit about that, one of the things we also want people to understand is that we believe in the United Alliance that we need to find ways to economically leverage these things that we so cherish. You know, most times when you speak about the people ask, where will the money come from? If we do masquerade, where will the money come from? And this morning, as Kiroy speaks, we'll have the discussion on how can we leverage these aspects of our lifestyle to become of economic value to us. Kiroy, you have been in the music since how long? Since you're about 2 feet tall? You're 4 feet tall.
One foot.
You know, and you have been involved in masquerades. You have the entire breadth of that aspect of our cultural development you have been involved in. Just speak to us briefly about what you think we need to do in order to economically leverage this aspect of our work.
Well, firstly, I'm a musical icon in Montserrat and the rest of the Leeward Island. In Calypso, string band, masquerade, you name it. I've been there, dancing since I'm 8 years old, with Jim Galway coming up. One of the problems we've had in Montserrat, it's continuity. We tend to think when we have someone doing something well, that's it. We're good to go. Arrow, gone. One of the greatest soca artists, as we like to say, ever from Montserrat. His legacy, haven't taught anybody. We've lost that. Justin Hero, one of the best writers, melody makers, vocals, gone. Taught anyone? No. I'm probably one of the few that has left. What's going to happen when I'm gone? You're going to say the same thing about me. Oh, he was good. Who have I passed it on to? And one of the things I'm proud of is that Ruben Timid, I told you I'm going to speak about him a lot when it comes to the culture. I came back here in 2012 and decided I wanted to teach the little that I've gained outside and here in the cultural aspect. Masquerade, string bands, guitar playing, calypso writing and performing. And when I brought the idea to Mr. Mead, he jumped on the bandwagon right away and he told me, go out and get a sponsor. And if you get $1 million, we're going to give you $1 million to match it. Whatever you find, we're going to help you. And so I went and he helped me to open a school. I started to teach the culture. One of the main things he did is that I was in Antigua. I had a good job in Antigua. And I didn't want to leave it. So I said to him, I'm going to come on weekends and I'll go back to work on weekdays. He said, no problem. You can ride the ferry free. So Friday afternoons, I'm here. I'm teaching Saturdays, Sundays, and I'm back Monday. When he realized how much impact I was having on the youths in the cultural aspect, he said, no, quit your job. We're going to hire you weekly. We're going to give you a contract and you're going to teach from Monday to Friday. You can go back home on the ferry. Friday afternoon, come back Monday morning. This is how much he had the passion for our culture. It was going well. I had maybe 20 or 30 students learning to write calypso, sing calypso, dance masquerade, play the drum. I was an organizer in Beresford to come in under the 5. I had Silas Carty teaching the guitar. It was going well. Mr. Mead lost the election in 2014. And here comes Dan Romeo and the PDM. And within 3 months, they shut it down. Just like that. Said David can't afford to keep it running. Our culture. So I'm just telling you, between that time, if Mr. Mead was still there, we would have had calypso writers, calypso singers, soca artists. We'd have had masquerade troops in all the schools. We'd have had so many things going because I had so many people to come in and help me. Joe, Dog who played the drums was going to come. Beresford said he was going to come. Andy Cunningham was going to come for the 5. You had a man named Mr. White who used to play the ukulele would have come. I would have had so many. He also organized some professionals from Antigua to come down and teach the horns, the trumpet, the trombone. We had that in progress. They already came and spoke to him. They were in his office. They would just have to give him, what it's going to cost for them to come, play and go back home. They were getting free tickets to come on the ferry. All that was in progress. The school was going to be a brilliant school. Not me alone teaching, but different aspect. I had pan players ready lined up to come. So we would have had check from 2012 to now, we would have had professionals here in the art form. And it just went down. So that's what I wanted to talk about when it comes to Mr. Mead and his vision for culture.
Listeners, I invite you to call us at 491-7227, 491-9064, or you could WhatsApp 496-2885. Continue, Mr. Moss, because I want you to speak not only to the past, but your vision for the future.
What I'm tired of is that when we're going to have our fetes during our festivals, whether it's St. Patrick's or Christmas, we are importing artists from Antigua, Jamaica, St. Kitts, wherever, the Caribbean. And I have no problem in bringing in artists to come. But we're not being exported. We're not being exported. Arrow used to travel the world. Hero was on so many shows. I get a few shows here and there. The problem I have is that we need to develop our artists. We need to support our artists. When Christmas finish, we need to contact all the other Caribbean islands and say, listen, we have this soca artist, we have this calypsonian, we have this. We want to send them to your festivals to be exposed. And we need to support them. We need to have funds to send them and even let them feed themselves. Can you house them for me? If you can't, bam, bam, bam. Because we don't worry about them going out there and getting money in their pockets. We want it to be exposed. Because exposure will bring production. Because when a promoter sees you and he realizes the potential, they're going to send back for you to come and sing. And then that's when you start making your money. The exposure is our problem. Another problem we have is to teach the entertainment, how to teach our artists how to entertain. So as Mr. Mead was saying, the cultural center, Mac has to take it over. You have to have a training ground, Austin, for our artists, whether it's in string band, masquerade, soca, calypso, whatever area. If we don't have that training ground, we're going to lose them. And it has to start from the primary school. It has to start from primary school. So we have to find the people who have the capacity and the time to go in, pay them. Don't tell people to volunteer. It's not Red Cross. Give them something and say, listen, we need your talent. We need your advice. Come in and help these youths. You have scouts. Bring in the scouts. That person is good at that. That one is good at that. And we start training them so that as they grow older, they love it. Don't tell me Chewy don't love Calypso. My daughter wants to sing Calypso every year. She hears it. She understands it. She helps to write it. The other young children who are calling me, they want to be a part of it. We have soca. We have the masquerades still going in. What happened to Titus? He should be teaching the dance. He knows it. When he's gone, what are we going to say? We at a lull again? We got to use the people we have as state. And I know that the United Alliance, if Mr. Meade was elected in 2014, Montserrat culture, I'm telling you, our musical culture would have been on top because we had a lot of youths who were involved in it and they have talent, but what? After that, they just go their own way. Look at Josh Sakawinki. He used to come to my school. He couldn't keep time in. Now he's writing and performing. And he couldn't keep timing when he came. He couldn't dance to our music. And I taught him. I know he writes for himself and he can dance. So I'm just saying to the people of Montserrat that this is the only leader that have shown interest in the development of Montserrat culture. You have other leaders come after and they have done nothing. They have, instead of doing something, they have fought it. They try to keep it down. They don't even want to pay Calypsonians during festival proper money. They didn't want to pay soca artists. If you understand what I'm saying. Others out there investing in the artists, T.N. Winter, Claudette Peters, call all their names. They're sending them out to different countries. And what are we doing to ours? Nothing. It needs to stop.
Okay, Troy, I hear you. And as I said in the start, we need to stop seeing culture as something set aside and apart. The question I'm posing to the table this morning is how then do we take what Barry is saying and leverage it to become of economic value to Montserrat? I think that's what he's saying. We have to find ways to leverage what we have to become economic value. You spoke a little bit about the cultural center. And one of the things, this discussion we had within the grouping, we have cruise ships coming in. How can we sell our masquerades? Can we sell our dancers? Can we sell other aspects of our culture? So that they now could make money to keep the whole thing sustain going. Because one of the arguments you argue that we're putting money into culture, but it's not regenerating. How or do we at the table see that as a possibility that we now can not only just have it as something we do and a part-time thing, but because part of our has economic value. In Antigua, singers go into the hotels every week and they make their living. That is how they make a living. Can we now take the masquerades, for example, and leverage them in such a way?
And definitely, definitely, I see that we can do that. We can take our culture and live it. We can go places. And as Bear was speaking about the exposure, this is where when we take our culture out there and we send our people to perform on different shows, we are selling Montserrat and we are selling Montserrat culture. And when persons see it, whether it's on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram, whatever it is, they will look forward to be a part or to get a deeper understanding or to be involved in Montserrat culture when they visit Montserrat. As a matter of fact, some persons out there who are producing programs and different things like that may actually want to come here during our festival, one of our festivals, to record our cultural display. Yes? So definitely the exposure will help put Montserrat on the map. Arrow have started it some time back. We need to build on it. We need to build on it because we are just as good as the other regional islands. We are just as good internationally because we have a unique thing, especially our masquerade. We are unique. Our St. Patrick's Day parades and our display of our different madras outfits and stuff. We are unique. And I happened to be one of Beer's students back then when he was shut down. I was learning the guitar and everything was shut down. I'm looking forward to joining again.
In terms of the economic value that we could get from as you were saying, Austin, cruise ships coming in, if our artists, our masquerades, our calypsonians, whoever they may be, perform at the cultural center when the cruise ships come in, This is a way of our artists exposing themselves, displaying our talents, and it's a way of them making some money as well. We could have the schools come in once they are, well prepared, and we could have competitions at the schools, let's say. So these are ways that monies could be made from our culture. But before I go on, in slightly different, yes, still on the arts, I would just like to, as a person from St. John's, and the death of radio, because we know how good he has been in the Calypso arena, and his unfortunate situation took him away from the culture. But I just thought, as Bea was talking about him being laid to rest tomorrow, and I would just like us to think on how significant his contribution has been to the art form.
And as you touch on radio, I must share that despite radio ailment, radio actually came to the Davy Hill Center sometime early last year and said to me, he want to come and teach the children of Davy Hill music. Wow. We didn't have all the musical equipment then. We did get some donation of guitar and keyboards since then from persons. But it was in him. He wanted to pass it on. And he said, Anne, he knew me. I want to teach the children of Davy Hill how to play music. I want to pass on the music to them.
Okay, yeah, I want to talk to you a little about my concept, the Allegana School of Arts. It's a concept I'm thinking about, the Allegana School of Arts. Dance. And dance is not really restricted to masquerade. For example, I know Matrix. They do a fantastic job every year. And let me try this at the table. I don't know, is there still a dance teacher in the schools? Because I knew that was at one point, having a dance tutor at the schools was part of the curriculum. And I'm asking, I know those who thought dancing to be elsewhere. And we have a young lady out in the UK, fantastic dancer, but she's out in the UK. My question is, do we see that as important, for example, to have that young lady back in Montserrat, the Matrix team, teaching dance at the schools? Is that important to us?
Absolutely, Austin, absolutely, because from my experience growing up here in Montserrat and several others, not only was there the opportunity to do local and traditional dances, but we're also saying that they also had the opportunity to learn different instruments, be it the goat skin drum, be it steel pan at the primary school level. We're also saying as a party this morning that we are giving the opportunity to the schools to have masquerade groups. So that aspect of our culture that is taught as it relates to our dance, our local traditional dance, that will be now part of our school's activities. From primary school, you'll have the different schools having that type of activity, Austin. That's how we see it going forward.
Well, and it doesn't have to be masquerade alone, because there used to be troops. You could have calypso competitions inter-school. There are so many things that could happen.
I want to come in here, and I don't want to change the direction that we're going. But what we must first understand is the value. What value have we placed on our culture? We place a lot of value on academics, and we'll root to get things done. But what value have we placed on our culture? In nation building, culture is an integral part of your national identity. It also moves you to sovereignty, and hence when you have international meets in these countries, you see a display of their culture and what they're actually saying to other nations. We are sovereign here. We are excellent here. And therefore, it is critical that we place the value that is requisite on culture. Just recently, I was shocked to understand that they reduced the budget for culture in MAC. And yet we want to promote festivals. We come to school, and I must say that we have already started developing the curriculum. But like Austin says, we must go a step further and create what Dr. George Irish had set out to do, in the National Aliogana School of the Arts. Correct is Mr. Bear when he speaks of passing on that culture, because within the very school, we can now build our community. We don't even have to get yet to the tourists, but among ourselves as a community, for cohesiveness, we can perform. Years ago, we had the Arts Festival when the schools competed. We now have a large center. We don't even have to go from school to school. We can do that as well to strengthen the communities. And we have the grand finale at the Cultural Center. We invite our OECS and CARICOM brothers and sisters to participate in that cultural center. And we can do it during the summer vacation. So again, we are building up on another festival, the Calabash Festival, during summer. But we cannot come and do ship-shoddy work, excellence being our motto. So it is critical, and we are committed, the United Alliance, to put the necessary funds and policies and programs in to build what we say we need to do. This is not going to be mere talk, because I'm really tired of talk. We must put the money where our mouth is. And listen, we don't always have to go to the coffers. Yes, people must be paid. But again, we will explore the other opportunities. Cultural heritage. What funds are there? What projects to bring money in? Another element that I'm very concerned about is our music. Where are all the folk songs? It is critical that we have our local persons passing on the folk songs, so that when we have our concerts, and again when we go abroad, we can carry a concert, we can carry a show. Remember years ago when we went to Cuba and those places. So there is an opportunity for creating wealth. And don't be grudgeful. I'm going to be very frank on it. When they go and they make the money outside, the money comes right back into Montserrat and it is spent here. They can hire somebody. They can even sponsor something. So please, it's a wholesome Montserrat that our culture and leveraging this culture as an economic source for our development and our national identity. I want to applaud the Bear for the work that he continues to do, and we saw the growth of the art form during his time. The young Calypsonians definitely were making money. We should not still be importing talent from Antigua, money that can be kept here.
Callers, you can call us at 491-7227, 491-9064, 496-2885. Now, I'm going to continue for a little bit more about the music, but keep to it, because you have been in that field for a long time. And I can remember the joy. I don't know if somebody was hypocritical, let me be honest. No. People turned out at the airport and they were all celebrating your victory. And they were all promising you all these jobs, and you're going to get a job here and a job there. Because at that point in time, people recognized there was economic value to what you did. I don't know if you get a job yet. That they promise you.
Not a fardine.
You know, but speak to that aspect of how youngsters can actually do what you did and make a living.
Yes, because as Madam Dorset was saying and was talking about the hotels and so forth, I used to sing in the hotels in Antigua, but I had to go with an Antiguan band. I couldn't get in. They protect that source. I can go with them, but I can't go and negotiate for myself. We're planning to have our guest houses, our hotels here on upscale. Who's going to entertain? We're going to bring them in? That's another way. Mm-hmm. Exporting our artists. There's so many festivals around. St. Kitts Festival, this festival. Who's going there for Montserrat? Nobody. We need to get that in place. All right? Another thing that bothers me most is that we have two of the most excellent radio DJs here in Montserrat. Are they passing on their talents? We have JGP, international. Basil Chambers, international. Do we have any forum for them, because they're part of the entertainment, to pass on their excellence to anyone. That too has to be included. When they're gone, what are we going to do? Hope somebody come up? We're not West Indies team. We have to build now. We can't depend on Vivian Richard and them to be there, they're gone. You understand? And you see the lull happen when they're gone. Montserrat needs to get the act together. I've been invited to the Look Up Primary School Monday to speak about this as well. Entertainment and to entertain them. And I know they're looking forward for that. And I'm going to use that forum to promote talent. We're looking for talent. If you're interested, contact me. I'm willing to work with any one of the youths who want to write, sing, dance, play, whatever. And I know that the United Alliance are going to support me because Mr. Meade have been supporting me from the beginning and the onset of these things. There's a lot of money out there to be made, lot of money, but we need our artists up to scratch so we can sell them to the world and get this done.
Yeah, one of the things is that we tend to have short symposiums. So you'll find during the summer or even during now, they're saying, okay, we're going to do a workshop. We're not looking at workshops. We're looking at continued education in the art form. So on a weekend, after school, part of the curriculum, however it's designed, it's a full-time 360 day of the year. I say 360 because we're keeping out some of the days where the culture and the school will be taught. This means from infant school, even if they're just knocking on the drums and the timbales to make noise and bother up the teachers and go home and disturb their parents with the noise. It has to start there. And it doesn't finish in the schools. It must also continue in the community. So, for example, one of my colleagues said when the school opens, they would like to go. Yes, adults also should be encouraged to join that on the weekends so that that continues to happen. The other one, and I think Bay may have touched on it, is that when the cruise ships come in, for example, same thing that happened when Columbus came. The locals went on the seashore and danced and did whatever they had to do down there. That must stop. If they want to see our masquerades dance and they want to listen to our music, they pay a little $10 or whatever the fee is. They go to the cultural center and see the performance, and that money goes towards the artists. So there's continued performances throughout the year. Secondly, the school should also be putting on programs at the cultural center. Every weekend, there should be at least a show happening at the cultural center, whether it's calypso, reggae, dub, what have you, so that you're showcasing your talent over the year rather than at selected times during the year. Now, it can work this way. People pay to come in. That money goes to the artists. The cultural center can sell the drinks. That goes towards keeping the cultural center going. Or some such combination. These are things the details could be worked out. But we can't continue to have our culture on a 2 times or 3 times a year basis. It has to be continual, and it also has to be where the artists are in a position to make money, and we also have to be able to sell their talent overseas. We bring artists here to perform. Why can't our artists go overseas to perform? And we have to encourage that and work with our overseas brothers and sisters. One final point before I give the mic over. We have, for example, yes, Cupid has been doing a reasonably good job in teaching music. Kudos to Cupid on that. But we need to upgrade that skill set. So, for example, if Antigua has very good panists who can teach pan at a higher level, then we just need to go and say to Comrade Gaston, comrade, send me a music teacher to teach Pan for a year. You pay the person their salary, and we will host them. And we can say the same thing to Trinidad. We can say the same thing to other comrades in the region. That, look, we need your help and we need your support. So people will say, well, how are you going to finance this thing? Our Caribbean brothers and sisters will help us. And we must not be afraid at the political level to talk to the other heads to ask them for help.
Okay. John, I think there's some WhatsApp messages coming in.
Yeah, we have some questions online, Austin. First one says, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Kudos to Mr. RTM and his team on their development plan for the cultural aspect of the nation as it adds strength, bringing the people together stronger. However, what about sports, which I definitely think should be an integral part of the culture?
That's a good question, John, coming in there. And we do have quite a bit of sports culture in Montserrat. Traditionally, the number one sport traditionally in Montserrat was cricket. And through the years, the cricket was played on the street, after school, on the weekends, brothers and sisters, cousins and villagers enjoying that aspect. We are saying that we are going to, as a party, push to reinvigorate our facilities. You look at the parks from Salem to the north, and we have made a pledge to bring back that sports culture. We will fix the parks. I am saying here that we are going to take the lights that have been in storage for 2 and 3 years, wherever they are hiding, for the outdoor facilities and the indoor facilities. We will implement those because we know what sports culture means to us. It keeps our population healthy. That's one thing, John. The second thing it does, it promotes village togetherness. And let's remember that Montserrat is a diverse people. We have persons that have been here for 20 plus years. We have the persons that are coming to Montserrat, and it's a place where we can come and commune, meet one another, build relationships, and build a country together. So it's not a political stunt. And we're not a party that is going to give the lights right before election, get in and promise for 4 years that we're going to do something for sports, and wait until the final home stretch and say, here's what we're doing for sports in Montserrat. We're going to cut the grass. We're going to put the pitch in. No, we are saying sports is integral to Montserrat's development, the people of Montserrat, and we're going to use it to bring us as a people together. Montserrat has been divided for too many years. We have to stop the division that is being pushed in the country. We have to take away this fear of I can't speak because I don't know anything about the sports culture in Montserrat. A few years ago, Chief will correct me if I'm wrong, some people from Santo Domingo resided on the island, and they came and they played baseball. Baseball was different. We weren't accustomed to it. But after a while, what you found happening is that, yes, baseball is different, but some persons gravitated towards it. And we must encourage it because people need to express themselves. And that's my 2 cents on it, and I'm thankful to be around the table with these visionary people around me, and I know that once we're elected, that the sports culture will come back passionately once again in the country.
Well,
sorry. Let me just add one thing, very, very brief. We actually have 3 playing fields, include Corkhill playing field. We can bring that back.
Right. Well, I wanted to add something to what Jenzil was saying and about investing in culture. Because when you make something your culture, the one thing that it brings out of people, and me and Bia often talk about this, is pride and passion. And that is very important because pride and passion bring out excellence in people. When you had a culture of cricket in Montserrat, you created people like Lionel Baker. When you have a culture of like basketball, you have people like Jenzil Skerritt, you have people like Jordan that are now overseas playing. So when you invest into your people and you invest into your culture, especially investing into sports, you bring out your pride and your passion. Having a culture of music, you have people like Bia, who is world renowned, probably the best calypso in my view. So investing in sports, you have to understand that that's what it does for your people. Pride and passion is what we need to find and bring out of our people because that brings excellence.
And we also have Bluff, who records, and he's an upcoming recording studio, and he's been willing to give his support and his time to get Calypsonians out early every year. They have not done anything for him, so he can't. Those are the things. We have Jadine, who brings down her costumes from the States year after year. She's not been helped. You understand? So we have less troops. We have to start looking at these people who are donating their time and effort and see how we can help them to get Montserrat's culture back up again. And it can happen. It can happen, and we need to make it happen.
With regards to the sports and cricket, I don't know how many people were listening to Stevel on the radio this morning, but you could hear the passion in his voice. He wants to play cricket. That is what he wants to continue to do, along with the others who, they weren't on the radio, but I'm sure that they out there want to play as well. So investing in our cricketers, in our sportsmen, musicians, whoever they may be, that is something that the United Alliance will take seriously.
Sorry, we want to go through some more questions. Mr. Mead, this question might be more for you. This question says, the team mentioned the development of culture. With the entertainment industry being a multi-billion-dollar sector, surpassing $30 billion, the cost of producing music at a competitive level, including marketing, are significantly high. Financial institutions often view entertainment businesses as high risk, and income derived from annual events is usually insufficient to fund performances. If elected, what measures would the United Alliance administration take to instill confidence in financial institutions to invest in entertainment careers?
Okay, we will not necessarily use the financial institutions as we know them, because they operate in a traditional commercial sense. So what we'll do is create a window within either Bank of Montserrat or the St. Patrick's Cooperative Credit Union, where funding is allocated for doing specific things. Okay, so we had spoken at the very outset of allocating about $500,000 per year into such a fund, and that we're committing to. Now, people will say, but you have the budget and you're promising all sorts of things here and there. We will be rejigging the budget, and we're looking at the budget early. Fortunately, elections the 24th. By the week after, a team will be looking at the budget. Policy documents will be put in place so that we can make a proper submission to DFID in terms of what our priorities are. And that is how you do it. Now, can I just throw in one last thing here?
Yes.
What? I am making a public commitment that I will take the equivalent of my salary, my current pension and allowances, and the difference between that will go into a special fund to support micro-enterprise development. I've had discussions with the Montserrat, with an organization, Montserrat Progressive Society, I think it is, which is a British charity, registered charity. They will manage those funds so that I have absolutely nothing to do with it, and the payment will come directly from the Treasury rather than waiting for me to cut a check. And that's my commitment to the people of Montserrat. And that will happen for the first 6 months in the first instance. After we review it and the MPS says, look, we need more money, then I will consider extending it for a further 6 months and so on. I'm not in this thing for no money. Just allow me to keep my pension and my allowances, and the remainder of my salary will go into a charitable organization.
No, I'm smiling at you, Mr. Mead. I shouldn't be saying this, but for a man who's broke and hungry, for a man who's broke and hungry, you give away money. I could only smile at you.
As my grandson said to me, Grandpa, you could be broke, but you could never be hungry.
Okay, we spent a lot of time, guys. I thought I had time to go through my entire program. But unfortunately, we have exhausted so much time without him going halfway. One of the things I want to put on the table, however, is beyond the music and the arts, is our food. There's our food. Cultural aspect of another aspect, which I think there's tremendous opportunities for us to invest in and to make money. I'll say this, I was in Guyana and I saw pepper pot in a bag. You stick it into the microwave and you heat it up and that's your pepper pot meal. I'm looking at this bag and asking, so what's the difference between pepper pot and cold water? I don't know the functional difference. And I'm saying here, our national dish has been of such tremendous advertisement for us over the years. And yet we have not moved beyond getting a cup of goat water once a week at some place. When we speak of that, of course, we talk about meat. How do we solve the problem of meat? Another economic source. And I want you to speak to that as to how you think we could combine both, again, to be of economic value to our people.
Okay, one of the things, and again, you're linking that with the agricultural sector.
Mm-hmm.
So here is another one which we're looking at. We're looking at intensive goat farming. So that meat, the price of meat, that's goat meat, will come down. The availability of meat will go up. And we already had discussions last night with someone who can bring in or has sources of feed that is much cheaper than what we're getting now, so we can get it in bulk. And this most likely will come out of Guyana, so that we can bring the cost of the feed down along with the use of our grasses. People are cutting the verges and we're dumping the grass. You can cut the verge and use the grass. We have a lot of wild tamarind. We can use those as well. But we're looking at intensive, and we'll work very closely with the farmers to get that going so that we can have goat water every day of the week. And as you say, we can do some packaging as well.
Anybody anything want to comment on our aspect of food? Cassava bread. I mean, I'm just thinking there's so much things out there that we need to leverage again.
And Doc, no?
I have been having discussions with one of the cassava bread manufacturers. And after I had the discussion with them, I realized that there were quite a number of others. We make the big cassava bread. Very difficult to travel with. So the Jamaicans would understand the bami size. Mm-hmm. So you go to a small plate size, a dessert plate size. You package those in packages of 10, shrink wrap them, and we can export those. Or you can have it available to persons on an everyday use. The other thing with cassava bread is that for dietary purposes, some persons cannot use flour. And therefore, this would be a good replacement for flour for them as well.
To support what you said, that cassava unit that has been sleeping for 5 years or dormant for 5 years, we are saying as a government that we will bring that back. The producers of the cassava bread have said, yes, they want to produce, but Genzel, United Alliance, we don't know where we can get A, the cassava fruit, and B, where we can produce it processed and have it for use. So these are the problems that the United Alliance have already identified and will bring back on the table as solutions.
Okay, call us 491-7227, 4919064, and 496-2885. We have a lot of persons been contacting us via WhatsApp. Here we go. Somebody decided to call immediately. Hello, good morning, and welcome to Let's Talk with the United Alliance. Hello? Okay, I think we have lost that caller.
Aspen.
Yes, good morning. Welcome to Let's Talk with the United Alliance.
It's about over 20 try boys. Morning. You hear me good?
Hearing you, go ahead.
Yes. Let me big eye up because I are the only one that opened the line. And even my program, let me call upon MCAP up the line, man. Cupid, stop me so cold up the line. Me got some question for ask you. And me know you talk culture, but me want this answer. It was not parliament, but on brown stuff, they look out. And 2/3 of lookout nearly migrate. Me want to know how far the emergency there if you work on. Okay, then that am I a little bit.
Lady who was in Parliament who they nearly murdered over the brown stuff. Speak a bit about that.
But caller, you would have found that it seems as if you were misled in Parliament to vote for this money, the appropriation bill, and the appropriation bill was passed, and the appropriation bill could have been passed even now that Parliament is dissolved, because once you have an emergency such as that, Parliament will return and be recalled, and we will pass the bill. You would have heard on the radio where the Honorable Dr. Sammy said that they were having difficulty in getting the monies because of some bureaucracy. And so, as the radio would have said, Parliament could have been called in, and use your discretion, use your wisdom now to determine whether you were misled or not. And you know, caller, that a person like Mrs. Hector, who loves her people, and with all my over the gut and all the residents of Lookout, yesterday I had my dinner right in my house in Lookout from since I was in Kingsale, and that connection, how would I have abstained or not allow such a bill to pass? So caller, judge things for yourself. Nothing such as that has happened.
Good morning. I think we have another call on the line.
Hi. I just want you guys, this is an idea I just came to my mind. Why you guys don't have Bank of Montserrat sponsor one of these cricket fields and have it come back to life? Whether the Salem cricket field, whether the Little Bit cricket field, or whichever one. Just approach Bank of Montserrat and let them name the park after the entity. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you very much, caller. That's a very good suggestion, and it will be taken into consideration.
Okay, so we're getting close to that time. Back to the whole aspect of food and culture, and again, leveraging what we have. I think we have another caller line. Good morning, caller. Welcome to Let's Talk with the United Alliance.
Hello, good morning. I have one thing to say. I'm Premier Mead, Austin, Mrs. Hector Darcy, and Jenville. And John, this goes for y'all, because y'all will know about this. So we are approaching that time again when we have our major basketball tournament that we haven't had any good support from government with for the past couple of years. At present, we have maybe about 12 teams from Trinidad to Tortola that want to come here in December. I am begging you guys, when you guys get into office, we need to have access, some kind of ferry, something, and we need to get these people here for December. We are already behind time because nobody's saying how people are going to get here for Christmas. So we need some action on that as soon as you all get into office. Have a good morning.
Thank you very much, caller. Caller, I find it rather interesting that let's use one of the recent activities, and perhaps Jensel can speak to one. I'll speak to the other. We had 2 youngsters who were supposed to go off to Anguilla, who went off to Anguilla actually. They were not getting the kind of support to get them there, and they were panicking because there was a scholarship possibility. They picked up the phone and called me. They did not call the basketball president, the MABA president. They called me. Chief, we have a problem. I'm not in government. What are you calling me for? They said, Chief, who you expect us to go to? You're the only one we can go to. I made 1 phone call, and the guys were taken care of fully in Anguilla. Accommodation, transportation, and meals. That's what we do.
I think we have another caller in line. Caller, welcome to Let's Talk with the United Alliance.
Yes, good morning. I heard former Premier Mead mention something about cassava bread and packaging and too big to package. I don't think Premier Meat knows too much about packaging of cassava bread because I buy cassava bread here in the States. It's packaged in the triangle basis, well wrapped, well labeled. But here's the problem. Y'all can't compete. Y'all could never compete because you just don't have the facility which they need because the old stuff where people put cassava bread out on the line or something to spread them on the table to dry, those days are gone. You have to have the appropriate equipment, and so they fold and dry it properly, and they have to have the packaging, which means the paper. So they're selling them at what, $25, $30 unwrapped, unpackaged. They wouldn't be able to compete, come close to competing. So I'm not so sure what he's talking about. He could do it locally, but not internationally. No, he cannot compete. That's my take. He could respond to that, but I know he'll respond, but he'll respond not going to make any sense to most people who doesn't know about cassava packaging.
Was
All right,
not
thanks.
thinking of. Yeah, I was never thinking of competing on the international market. But if you follow what happens with Mun's rations when they're traveling, they always want cassava bread. And therefore, when people are traveling, they can get more cassava bread. So even just our local persons for the local market and for Mun's rations traveling back from Montserrat to wherever they're going, we'll package it so that they get it, that it can travel easier. Okay, never for the international market. Secondly, yes, we're working with the producers as well to ensure that their operations are uplifted so that they no longer have to dry them on the line, that they will have proper facilities for drying as well. So work with us, caller. We understand and appreciate what you're saying. And I hope you understand and appreciate where we're coming from as well.
Yeah, but there's one other thing I want to say on that point, and I think it's something that we need to say to the public, because when we talk about creating these industries, people expect these industries to go from where they are now to be multi-billion-dollar industries overnight, and I don't think that's something that is feasible or people is reasonable for people to expect. What we're saying as a group is we're going to start these industries, allow them to grow through the local market. While they grow, while they gather more revenue, the produce will increase, so will the quality. It takes time. There's hardly any company alive right now that's $1 billion company that just automatically started and blew up into $1 billion company one time. We need to start the process, and that's what we're saying. We, as the United Alliance, we're going to start the process for our locals. We're going to help them through the process of growing, improve their quality as we go, and eventually maybe a few people will become big enough to get onto the local market. But we're obviously going to capture onto the international market, but we're obviously going to capture the local market first, since Montserrat imports maybe 95% of its food. So we don't want to sell anybody the idea that we're just going to go out there and create $1 billion companies overnight.
Any more messages, John, on the WhatsApp?
Austin, most of the messages are just compliments. So I don't know if you'd want me to read through some of them.
But I know the callers would. Sorry, we have another call coming in.
Okay.
I think we lost the caller immediately. Continue, John.
So let me just read through some of them. One compliment says the team is sounding like the only team with purpose. One says leadership requires that the team believes in the leader's vision to execute the plans to accomplish the mission. Ruben Timid has the support from his team. Vote United Alliance.
Okay, John, let me cut you. I have a caller coming. Okay. Good morning and welcome to Let's Talk with United Alliance.
Morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah. Tell people that we don't need to compete. Our cassava is unique, and that is for us. Goat water, I do goat water and go England, go all over the place. So whatever we do, we need to do it and do it well for us. And then other people will get in line. Thank you very much. And tell Mr. Mead I want to see him. Lake pass by me.
I'm not gonna ask you for what. Thank you very much.
Another thing I want to say, Austin, because I really like potato pudding and Duckner, is that with our plans to work with our farmers so that we can have potato pudding and Duckner on our menus, not just when it's St. Patrick's time, but even if it's on a weekend, we know we can get those products so they become a part of our culture. For food.
Look, I've looked, for example, and thanks for the Duckner one. Look at somebody like Noreen Brady in Salem. Every time she puts up on Facebook that she's selling Duckner, within 15 to 20 minutes, her Duckner is sold out. And this is original Duckner, not the one in foil paper. So we have the capacity and people want it to travel with. So we are going to continue to work with our local producers, get them up to a level where, in fact, they can get the potatoes more readily, they can get the processing, the grating of the potatoes and so forth could be done more speedily. That will happen because Duckner, again, is part of our culture. And we only get Duckner on special occasions. That should be available more frequently as well.
Okay, I think we have exhausted our time and we're getting close to that point now. So this week I'll be generous and give you guys a minute and a half to go on the table and say your final wrap-ups. You could add that into your final wrap-up also as we go forward.
No, we just want to remind persons that we're at Lookout tonight.
Yes,
Don't forget we're at Lookout tonight. Yes.
Yeah, so as Ms. Hector said, we're at Lookout tonight. Some of us could actually continue the discussions during our presentations there. But since we're on the topic of culture, I just want to stress that it's important to invest in your culture. Because as I said before, your culture brings about passion, your culture brings about pride, and your culture is the reason why people have excellence in the different things that they're passionate about. So we'll create a culture around sports, we create a culture around food, we create a culture around the music and the arts, and we'll bring back the passion that our people once had and bring back the excellence and the greatness of our people. And the United Alliance Party will support everyone in that regard.
Yeah, and guys, you all could take the opportunity to invite each of your own friends and supporters to come out to look out. Don't wait on me alone. I want everybody to take that opportunity to invite the people out.
Well, let me say from the outset, we are inviting you out to look out this evening. Transportation will be available coming from the Salem area. So please come out and hear what we are going to do together, because it is together that we are going to build our country and our nation. And on the matter of culture, I will just complete with a verse from our territorial song and command us that we must rise up and make our country great with art and skill and sacrifice. With mass and drum, we celebrate triumphant masters of our faith. And I will say that is what you have when we have a leader who leads, an experienced leader who is committed to building a national identity. And so that is from our territorial song, written by Sir Howard Fergus and Dr. George Irish, both deceased, but yet we can, with pride, repeat our song. We can stand tall and straight and salute our country, our heroes, celebrate our culture, and that is what we're about, building a country and molding a nation, strengthening our identity while living harmoniously, embracing all persons, one for all and all for one. We'll see you later at Lookout. God bless.
Well, I'm so sorry that we have so little time today to discuss culture, because one of my passion is the elderly and the knowledge and the skills that these persons who are still valuable in their later years could have passed on. The making of the sugar cake and the peppermint and the cushion and all these things and the stories, because the elderly plays a big part in our culture too. And too much times persons pass on without sharing or passing on the knowledge and the skills of those expertise. Let me say I am calling my persons to come out tonight and support us at Lookouts, the gazebo, Kakil Passy, Kakil people, Salem people, everybody. Come over to Lookout. Elvis is on the road, starting at Salem 6:30. Be on the road 6:30 so you don't miss that bus. And I mean, if Elvis come over full, which most likely Elvis will come over full, we'll go back for the ones on the road. Don't worry. I'm not going to leave without refreshing person's mind about the United Alliance mission statement. And our mission statement is to create and implement a strategy and roadmap for the sustainable development of Montserrat, in which all people will have the opportunity to live wholesome and productive lives based on principles of universal love, respect, empathy, equity, self-reliance, and creativity. And the program today fits into that lovely.
Culture, ladies and gentlemen, is not static. Culture is dynamic. And as you look at the young reggae artists on island from Montserrat, shout out to Lyrical Tool, shout out to Divicious, and of course, shout out to the other young artists who are out there pushing culturally. They are Montserratians, but pushing different aspects of culture, and that is what we're talking about, the dynamic aspects of it. The Calypsonians, the youth, the junior Calypsonian from Salem, originally parents from Jamaica, but very much part of the Calypso atmosphere and has been singing excellent songs. We have to commend them and empower them and push them to go forward. Because as I said earlier, culture is not static, culture is dynamic, and therefore it is constantly changing, but it remains core that Montserrat culture is under the base, the baseline, the consistent beat that will push the country forward and bring us all together.
And I couldn't end without touching on drama as part of our culture. Because you know that drama is embedded in me. It's in my DNA. And I know that there has been difficulties getting people. Bubblicious would have his plays, and it's difficult getting people. So if we try and expose our people to these things, we would get greater involvement. And as your Lookout girl, I cannot end without inviting the people of Lookout, people of Montserrat generally, but those in Lookout, come out tonight, hear the plans that the United Alliance has for you going forward.
And then I'll go to our guests. Kitroy?
Yes. Montserrat, you asked for it, and it's here. 7 p.m. tonight in Lookout at the gazebo. Bring your family, bring your friends, come in your numbers. The United Alliance rolls out the red carpet. First political meeting. Don't be late. 7 p.m. sharp in Lookout at the gazebo. I'll be there. Come, man. You have to come.
Well, Mr. Mead, I'm listening. You have to finish better than I want, eh?
Don't expect me to outdo the bear. He's a classic in himself, and I can't. But yes, I expect one and all to come and support us. Show your support to the United Alliance. Come out in your numbers at Lookout, 7 o'clock at the gazebo. It will be a short program. We're not going to bore you with long speeches. And you will hear from each of the candidates where we will be taking Montserrat. We will not be in the gutter with anyone. They can go there and they can stay there, and we will leave them there. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.
And just before we leave, let me just wrap up on the transportation. We have Elvis that's leaving Salem at 6:30. And just in case you miss Elvis at 6:30, we have Well Done's bus, which will do a follow-up a little bit closer to 7 o'clock, just in case you miss Elvis's bus.
Well, listeners, thank you for being with us this morning on Let's Talk with the United Alliance. I think we had a good program, informative as usual, and we're looking forward to seeing you tonight in Lookout. God bless. Goodbye.
The following is a paid political program which does not reflect the views of management and staff of Radio Montserrat.